Chapter 21.
Chapter 21, wait.
Chapter 21. What? Dad stared at me, his face twisted in confusion. I don't think he believed me. We're locked in, I repeated. I lifted the heavy metal padlock with both hands and then let it fall back with a loud clang against the bars of the gate. But that's impossible, Mom cried, raising her hands to her cheeks. They can't lock people inside an amusement park.
Wait 1 second. Back when the Horrorland cover fell. Oh, by the way, how I'm doing this contraption. It's not really a contraption, but I'll show you really quick. There, I'm hanging the paper this way. Get up here to get a better view. Whoa. Does this say switch the cameras? No, that's weird. Yeah. So I can put this back. Okay.
Maybe it's another joke,
Chapter 21.
Luke suggested.
Wait, start again.
Chapter 21.
Here we go.
What? Dad stared at me, his face twisted in confusion. I don't think he believed me. We're locked in, I repeated. I lifted the heavy metal padlock with both hands and then let it fall back with a loud clang against the bars of the gate. But that's impossible, Mom cried, raising her hands to her cheeks. They can't lock people inside an amusement park.
Wait, just wait 1 second. I kind of rewound it a little bit. So you're going to hear a little bit of what you just heard.
Lock with both hands, and then let it fall back with a loud clang against the bars of the gate. But that's impossible, Mom cried, raising her hands to her cheeks. They can't lock people inside an amusement park. Maybe it's another joke, Luke suggested. Everything in this place turns out to be a joke. Maybe this is one too. I lifted the heavy padlock again. It doesn't look like a joke, Luke, I said unhappily. Then there must be another gate where they want us to exit, Mom suggested. Maybe, Dad said doubtfully. Maybe there's a side exit, but I haven't seen one. What are we going to do? Clay asked, whining. His face was red, and he was breathing hard. Where is everyone? Luke demanded, whining too. They've got to let us leave. They've got to. Let's try to stay calm, Dad said, putting a hand on Luke's shoulder. There's no reason to panic. This is a strange place, but we're not in any danger. He's right, Mom broke in. There's no reason to be afraid. We'll be out of here and on our way home in no time. She forced a smile. As soon as we get out, I'll buy you guys pizzas and big cold drinks, Dad promised. And we'll all have a good laugh about our terrifying adventures today in Horrorland. But how do we get out? Luke demanded shrilly. Well, Dad rubbed his chin. Do you think we could climb the fence? I asked. We all raised our eyes to the top of the iron fence. It was way over our heads. It must have been about 20 feet tall. I can't climb that, Clay cried. I'd fall. It's too high, Mom said quickly. Bad idea, I murmured. A large white cloud drifted over the sun. Our shadows grew longer over the pavement. The air quickly grew cooler. I felt a chill run down my back. There's got to be a way out of this stupid park, I cried angrily. I hoisted up the padlock and slammed it against the bars of the gate. Hold on, Lizzie, Dad said soothingly. We just have to find one of those costumed park workers. They'll tell us how to get out. Dad? I turned and saw Luke grab Dad's arm. Here they come. We all uttered astonished cries as we saw the horrors crossing the plaza. Dozens of them. They moved quickly with a steady rhythm, silently. A few seconds before, the plaza had been empty. Now, it was filled with green costumed horrors marching toward us, spreading out, preparing to surround us. I could feel the panic rise up from my stomach. My knees began to shake. I stared in horror at them as they drew closer. Closer! I couldn't speak. I couldn't move. What are they going to do? Clay cried, his features twisted in terror.
Wait, this way, wait.
He slipped behind Dad.
Put it on again.
What are they going to do to us? He cried. Chapter 22.
Oh, wait, so we're good. Just wait.
Chapter 22. We huddled together as the horrors marched silently toward us. The only sound was the soft thud of their monster feet on the pavement and their long purple tails dragging on the ground. There are hundreds of them, Mom murmured. She grabbed Dad's arm with one hand. She slipped her other arm around my shoulders and pulled me closer. We had our backs against the iron fence. We stared helplessly at the grinning green faces, the bulging yellow eyes, which appeared to be laughing cruelly at us. Finally, they stopped a few feet in front of us. The plaza was still and silent, terrifyingly silent. The sun was still hidden behind the big cloud. 2 large blackbirds swooped low in the gray sky. We stared at the horrors, and they stared back at us. I swallowed hard, leaning against my mother. I could feel her entire body trembling. I took a deep breath and then cried out, "What do you want?" The sound of my own voice startled me. One of the horrors, a young woman, stepped forward. Frightened, I tried to back up, but my back was already pressing against the fence. "What do you want?" I repeated in a trembling voice. The costumed horror stared at us one by one. "I want to thank you," she said in a
Wait, sing that wrong. This way.
cheery voice.
There you go.
"Huh?" I uttered. "I'm the Horrorland MC. We all want to thank you for being our guests today." She flashed us a warm smile. "You mean we can go?" Luke demanded, half hidden behind my dad. "Of course," the horror said, grinning warmly. "But first, we all want to thank you for appearing on Horrorland Hidden Camera."
Oh, wait, what the heck? What the heck? Maybe, wait, because this is the reprint I'm reading. So in the original book, there's no game show. Maybe there's just Horrorland Hidden Camera. In the episode, there was a game show. But maybe there's just Horrorland Hidden Camera and not the game show. We'll find out. If there is a game show, then it's just not in the original story. But it'll work with the story. I don't care.
The dozens of horrors behind her broke into applause and loud cheers. "Huh? You mean this is some kind of show?" Dad demanded, frowning. "See the cameras?" the MC asked. She gestured up 2 tall poles in the plaza. Raising my eyes to the top, I saw 2 TV cameras. "You mean we were on TV?" Luke cried. "Since the moment you arrived," the MC replied. "Our hidden cameras followed you everywhere. From the hilarious scene where we blew up your car, our cameras were with you. And I know our home audience loved the terrified expressions on your faces and all of your horrified screams as you took our Horrorland rides." "No, wait a minute," Dad said angrily. He took a step forward. His hands were balled into tense fists at his sides. "You say this is a TV show? How come I've never seen it?" "We're seen every weekend on the Monster Channel," the horror replied. "Oh, Dad replied quickly, lowering his eyes. "We don't have cable." "You should get it," the horror told him. "You're missing a lot of great scary shows on the Monster Channel." The horrors all clapped and cheered. "Well, you've been very good sports," the MC continued, her yellow eyes bouncing in front of her head as she talked. "We've enjoyed having you, and to show our appreciation, we have a brand new car waiting for you in the parking lot." More cheers and applause from the horrors. "A new car? Excellent!" Luke exclaimed. "Does that mean we can leave?" Clay asked timidly. The horror nodded. "Yes, it's time for you to leave. The real exit is right over there, through that doorway." She pointed to a tall green building near the end of the fence. I saw a yellow door on the side. "Take the yellow door," the horror instructed. "And thanks again for appearing on Horrorland Hidden Camera." As all the horrors clapped their big green hands, we stepped away from the fence and hurried toward the exit. "I can't believe we were on TV the whole time," Mom declared. "And we're getting a new car," Luke exclaimed happily. He started jumping up and down. Then he leaped onto Clay's back, nearly knocking him over. I laughed. It was good to see the old Luke back with us. "We've got to get cable," Luke told Dad. "I want to see the Monster Channel. It's got to be awesome." "We'll have to order it so we can see ourselves," Mom said. I reached the yellow door first and pulled it open.
Okay, wait 1 second, I just need to hit this button.
Stepped into an enormous room with white walls that shone under the bright white lights from the ceiling. "Is this the exit?" I cried. As soon as we were all inside, the door slammed shut with a bang that made my heart skip. Then, all the lights went out. "Welcome to the Horrorland Challenge," boomed a deep, frightening voice over a loudspeaker. "Huh?" I gazed blindly around, trying to see something, anything, in the total darkness. "You have 1 minute to go through the monster obstacle course," the voice thundered.
Oh.
"Please keep in mind that the games are now over. This is real. You're playing for your life." Chapter 23. "We've been tricked," I heard Dad cry angrily. And then he shouted at the top of his lungs, "Let's get out of here!" "Run!" The deep voice boomed over the loudspeaker. "You have 56 seconds." Dad started to shout again, but we stopped when a dim light came up, and a disgusting four-armed creature stepped toward us. "Oh!" I cried out without even realizing it. The size of a gorilla, the monster had huge green eyes surrounded by thick red fur over its face. Saliva drooled from its mouth, and as it opened its jaws wider, 2 rows of long fangs slid over its thin purple lips. "Don't just stand there. Run! This is an obstacle course." The voice boomed impatiently. "You have 50 seconds to live. At least make a good race of it." The monster uttered a low growl and lumbered toward us in the dim light. Its jaws were opened wide as if preparing to bite. Its 4 enormous clawed hands swiped at the air in front of it. I was too stunned to move, too frightened to run. But suddenly, I felt a hand grab mine and tug me hard. It was Dad, I realized, trying to pull me to safety. I heard the boys screaming in fear. I felt Mom brush beside me as we started to stumble forward. "Run! Run!" the deep voice urged over the shrieks of the 2 boys. I couldn't see where I was running. The light was so dim, so shadowy. I saw only a blur now, a blur of running feet, of moving shadows.
Actually, for this video, I think we're going to stop at chapter 23.